Hey everyone, welcome back to Go Local Live. I'm Ava Gaudet, and up next in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center, I will be talking to the Artistic Director for AS220. She has an exhibit right now being shown in New York that is inspired by her hometown of Puerto Rico called Fantasy Island. And I'm very excited to talk to Shey Rivera Rios. Shey, come on out. Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being here today. Good to see you as well. So let's talk a little bit about this exhibit. It's showing in New York right now, but it actually got started here in Providence at the AS220, and all about Puerto Rico, which is a hot topic now with all of the current events. So tell us a little bit about what inspired you to do the piece initially.
Yeah, so really contemplating about what was happening back home before the hurricane, where we were facing an economic crisis that was starting to become deeper. And last year, the Congress passed the Promesa bill that establishes a fiscal oversight board over the island. So for a lot of people, it's interesting to realize that not a lot of folks here know the current political situation, but Puerto Rico is a territory, a protectorate of the U.S., and this fiscal oversight board overrules the government. So we used to have sovereignty, but not anymore, and they were going to restructure the debt. So I collaborated with a friend and curator, Annabelle Vasquez, and we did a series of exhibits called Capicu to bring people into playing dominoes and having conversations about the political realm of Puerto Rico. And then the hurricane took place a month ago, and this just shifted all of the work around what I've been trying to do. So initially, before the hurricane hit, Fantasy Island was an attempt to talk about the specific political situation, but just to tease it apart because it was so big.
Right.
So Fantasy Island focused on the real estate component, how we talk about tourism in the island, the fact that a lot of people don't know what the reality is over there, the same with other Caribbean islands, but let's talk about real estate and this disconnect between escaping and actually what people are going through.
Right.
So now with Hurricane Maria, the conversation is about what does it take to build a community? What does it take to build in a sustainable way?
Right.
It's been a ride.
I can only imagine. I mean, I just find it fascinating that you were already trying to shed light on this issue before this ever happened. You know, that exhibit at AS220 happened much before this hurricane, and so I find it fascinating that now that this is in the media, people are aware. You know, obviously the way that the president responded, and
Terrible.
It's terrible. And so have you found a difference in the way people are receiving this particular piece of art before that event and after that event?
Absolutely. And also the art has taken a different role. So before, yes, it was about conversation and education, but now it's about galvanizing people and helping to support the efforts that other artists and other community organizers are doing.
Right.
So then really, truly to the spirit of AS220, how do we use art as a vessel for social justice? How do we mobilize? How do we educate? How do we create empathy? And how do we think about building sustainable cities and addressing a lot of the issues that, you know, we still have to address in terms of systems of oppression in this country.
Right, exactly. And I think it's really cool too that the particular media, I guess, or way that you're presenting your piece is immersive. It's an experience. So it actually it enables people to get inside this problem and this issue. So talk to us a little bit about what the experience is like for this particular piece.
Yes. So Fantasy Island, the premise is that you walk into this real estate office and it's a virtual space. So it's a black and white grid all over the walls. So you don't have a sense of place. But then you walk into a performance of this, a very fantastic peer and artist of mine, Huáscar Robles. So he's a private developer walking through this experience of going into a neighborhood in Puerto Rico with the intention of developing it, but falling in love with the actual community and the city there and the people, and then rethinking the intent. So folks walk into this real estate environment, this fantastical space. There are monitors everywhere. There's a body of GIFs, animated GIFs that I developed as well, video projections. So it's very immersive multimedia piece. And the reason why is because I truly believe that art needs to be accessible in order to create those bridges of empathy and education. So when people walk in after Huáscar does the performance, I do a poetic incantation, if you will. that is a call for us to start having a conversation with the audience. So we literally talk to every single person that steps foot in that exhibit.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you're actually having conversations with these people.
Exactly.
I think that's really interesting that you chose what you chose to get people, piqued, their interest piqued, because it is a GIF sort of like environment today. That's what people are looking at on social media. That's what people look at on Facebook. It's sort of these quick images, and so if you can utilize that to get people's attention, it's like, a win-win situation. So talk to us a little bit about how you, as the artist, actually created the pieces that you needed. Are you actually sitting at your computer kind of like creating these things, and then you're going into the space? Like, how does it work? Because there's a lot of moving parts, it seems.
Yeah, so initially the inspiration for the body of work of the GIFs was I was taking all these images from luxury real estate mansions and condos in Puerto Rico that were being sold in the midst of an economic crisis. And it's basically like digital collaging. So I would take a lot of these photos, a lot of other GIFs, and just create these like small windows into an alternate universe. So using all this iconography related to Puerto Rico, like, the virgins and the guys with the suits, and really a wink to the corporate culture.
Right.
And also I use GIFs a lot. A lot of people do use GIFs, so it was just an immediate way of, okay, if I talk in this way,
right.
how can I use it to deliver the message in a different way?
So the performer that is playing the role of the real estate agent, is that someone that was doing it here as well, or is he just in the New York version?
He did it here as well. So he's a photographer,
cool.
He's a documentary photographer and a journalist. So
wow.
perfect. So this is exactly, so the artistic practice meets this like research and this connection to the media.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to do. So we combined his body of work in a performative way inside the installation. So it's almost like walking into a theater stage.
Right.
You're surrounded by this, and then he delivers his performance.
It's a really cool sort of melding of different experiences, because I know in the theater world, the immersive theater thing is like really popular right now. So you're actually utilizing that in your art, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, people want experiences. That's why I love performance art. A lot of people are really nervous about performance art. They're like, I don't get this. But if you give it, experience it with openness.
Yeah.
You share intimacy. You get to know the artist. It's not just a relationship with an object.
Yeah.
You get to have this like connection to the artist.
Yeah.
And be involved in something that is meaningful. Of course, there's some performance art that treats other topics a little bit harsher.
Yeah.
But I feel like for me specifically, in the message that I wanted to deliver and the people that I wanted to connect to, experience was the way to do it. Right. And there's a lot happening back home. It's very dire. We're fighting against us being a media trend with everything that's happening in the world.
Because you are from, let's clarify, you are from Puerto Rico. You grew up there. And I imagine you still have family there.
All my family is there. I just have one uncle in Miami.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been crazy. So I didn't connect to them 12 days after the hurricane.
Oh my goodness.
And then all my friends were like, oh my God, I don't know how you've been able to keep everything together, because they've been receiving, communications from their family. And a lot of us are taxed because we've assumed a new role now. We're antennas of information, we're mobilizing, we're helping guide people who want to support. There are a ton of people who want to support. It's such a complicated relationship with the politics over there, but there are a lot of people doing incredible work, and just the grassroots organizations are truly the ones who are doing meaningful work. Like artists taking up and starting their own communal kitchens, like all these spaces turned into community refuge. And I think that's something that a lot of people need to know here. We are U.S. citizens.
Yes.
And then we're constantly being questioned. We're being questioned if we're American. We're being questioned around our citizenship. Yeah. But, it's just an interesting and difficult political situation to be a part of.
Yeah, and as you said, it is very topical right now. This is happening at the moment, but this is a continuing issue. This is not something that should just, move on when a new news story comes around.
Exactly.
This is something that really needs attention, in a lot of ways. So I noticed on a blog that you posted on the AS220 website that at the end you do give some charitable organizations, some ways that people can get involved and help out. Do you find that people are, after they experience your art, are they feeling compelled to help? Are they going to these organizations and giving a little money, or how are you feeling that they're responding to that?
Yeah, I feel like a very important topic that is we should talk about more is allyship. And specifically the role of art in creating those bridges. So yes, a lot of people, after learning how they can actually help, they've been willing to give their time, their energy, their funds in whatever way. They just want to be guided to do it responsibly.
Right.
So this has helped a lot. And I really truly want to recognize the work of Rebecca Flores from the Natasha Love Foundation and Lidia Perez from the Puerto Rican Institute of Arts and Advocacy. They're here in Rhode Island. They've been doing incredible relief work and gathering support from various people in the community. So just a shout out to them, to Puerto Rican artists in Rhode Island that are wonderful. And there are just so many people here that are active.
Yeah. You also mentioned in the blog how this relates to Rhode Island. So how does this relate to Rhode Island? It seems like a Puerto Rican issue, but you're saying that it's much more than that.
Absolutely. So beyond the issue of what this means specifically to the Puerto Rican community, the Fiscal Oversight Board is a reality that many other cities have seen in terms of restructuring their debt. We've seen it in Detroit, we've seen it in DC, in multiple cities. So this is something that has been going on and we need to pay attention to because of the systems that are implied in that. But also, a lot of people are migrating out of Puerto Rico. It's been 50,000 people who have left and they're coming to where their family is based here in New England, in New York, and in South Florida, among any other places. And if we don't have the structures in place to support our communities here, how are we supporting also an incoming new population of people? And Rhode Island, specifically Providence, is about 50% people of color now. We're about 38% Latino, and the three top populations are Dominican, Guatemalan, and Puerto Rican. And I feel like this is a very important topic to talk about in this city, but also this state.
Yeah, absolutely, I would agree, especially after hearing those stats. So Fantasy Island will be showing in New York until November 18th.
Yes.
What is the future for this exhibit? Do you think you will put it up somewhere else? Do you think you're going to move on to a different type of piece? What do you think is the future for it?
Well, now, so it started here at AS220 with the support of the city, and now it's been shown at Loisaida, which is a Latinx cultural center in Lower East Side, New York, which is phenomenal. Yeah. So this has become a hub of more conversations. People have taken their classes and led their classes there. They're teaching, they're doing speaking engagements, so all these different things around it. And even in collaboration with the women from Eco Kits Puerto Rico, who have galvanized to do all this rallying around solar energy and sustainable living in the island. So Fantasy Island will become a much bigger project as a forum. So I will take it to different spaces and facilitate more conversations so people can learn, people can come together and truly understand what can they do to also be a responsible citizen and show up for each other. It's what we need to be doing.
Absolutely. Sounds really, really fascinating and really amazing. So congratulations on everything that's happening with the piece.
Thank you.
And Shey, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure talking to you. And that is my hour for today. Coming up at 4 o'clock will be Kate Nagel with News and Politics. So be sure to stick around for that. Thank you again, Shey.
Thank you.
That is my time.